Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech. It's Georgis again, and today we'll be continuing our CSS lesson and learning how to set up text and create fonts, have our sizes and weights and text alignment set up for our website. In the past few videos, we've been getting more in depth into CSS, simply talking about things such as how to color, how to select, and how to use CSS as well as in our HTML websites. Today, overall, we'll be covering what I discussed before, as well as learning how to add colors, bold, italics, underline, and how to do ordered and unordered lists in CSS in comparison to our HTML. Well, at the end of the video, as always, we'll have another challenge, and hopefully you all enjoy. Alright, so today I'll be working in an outsourced program, and this should all be available on Khan Academy as well, and hopefully by the end I'll remind you guys how to get there. So first we have on our left side a basic HTML coding from a basic skeleton, because we know CSS is used to clothe the HTML and allowing for us to make it look pretty. So first let's worry about changing the color. So to simply do that, you type in what you want to select. So let's say you want to do the text below the header first. You can do that. Type in what color. So you have to type color colon to start the reading, and then have the color you want. Depending on the software you use, it can vary to how accurate the color can be, but in this case I just chose simply red, and then you end it with the semicolon. Then let's worry about the font. So the next biggest thing about a website that you see the most of is the font. A lot of people in if you're in elementary and you're doing Google Slides, you're probably not going to care about the font. Throw in some Comic Sans, but here we want to be able to learn how to use our font families. There's a whole list, and out of all of them, I'll be posting the list later so you can go in and find whatever font you like and how to create it. In some cases, fonts have to be, if not found by the system, they have to be sort of created based off of fonts that are found within the system. So for example, if you wanted to create Helvetica, but you didn't have it, all you gotta do is go type in the name you want to create, comma, Arial, comma, sans, hyphen serif, and end it. And that might be able to create it, depending. Of course, you have to be able to distinguish between hyphens and much more. But in this case, or not hyphens, but you have to do it through typing. So there's sans serif, monospace, serif, things such as that. There's cursive, fantasy, and each of those will give a basis for your code to read and allow it to be able to make other fonts. In the case of Times New, in this website that I'm using to be able to model my fonts, a lot of the fonts that you typically would find within your codes or basic Google Slides, stuff like that, like Google, are harder to find and maintain as there's no basis for it, so you have to create one. Sadly, when I'm recording this, I forgot to simply try that, and I spent half it. I had to admit it, but it's part of coding, but I spent a little bit of time just wondering how I should deal with it and how I could fix it for next time. So from there, you can worry, if you want to worry about your fonts, you look up the font you want. You got to give it a title, give it if you want to describe fonts such as serifs and sans serif fonts that don't have serifs, but serifs have flourishes and small little dots and on the end of the words or on the letters and stuff. Taking the title card I made earlier, on the Invincible, there's little edges out of the letters instead of being straight lines. That's what a serif is. Sans serifs lack those. And then the word for monospace, it's making sure that each character has the same width. Cursive, it emulates handwriting, and fantasy fonts are just used to make it seem very colorful, detailed, make you decorative. Decorative is the best word. Next, we'll be moving on to font sizes, and font sizes are really important to how your video or your website looks. If you have everything the same size, it would be weird. But beforehand, you've done this before in lesson 4, I believe, originally. If you need to refresh, there's plenty of our videos beforehand that go in depth. But for the font sizes on CSS, it's essentially the same as you do for HTML, except this time you can worry about how big it is in comparison to pixels. So here I wrote 10 pixels to increase or decrease the size of my text. As you can see, it decreases, and to fix it, I just simply make it bigger. And here I make it so big that it barely fits my screen. Anyways, so we're gonna go a bit smaller so it's easier to digest, but simply put, there's a lot of things you can do to help create your website and make sure that the spaces are correct. In the case of the sizes here, we want to make sure it's presentable, looks nice, very even. And yeah, if your website doesn't look appealing and you feel like it needs more, play around with like the spacing, the sizing, how alignments are. A lot of text alignments help make a website stand out and can help you create something that you want to visualize. Because with coding, there isn't really bounds besides, of course, the English language. You create your own bounds. You make sure you have your own set of set of rules, your own set of bounds, your world. This is your world, and you're making everyone just witness how you see it. You can make anything happen. So for example, here I'm making sure my text is different colored, so there's different levels to it. If it was all one color, it might be hard on the eyes. If it was all in if I put this in yellow, it would hurt a lot. So that's why I'm trying to keep a contrast. If you learn color theory to make sure, there's a lot of stuff you can learn to make sure your website or whatever you're making is how you want it. Of course, you're gonna need to learn more, but this course will hopefully help you learn as much as we can teach you. Now we want to worry about creating boldness, font weight, font size, width, stuff like that. So here I was working to make my font bold, make it stand out, because if it doesn't stand out, it's not going to have someone's interest. If you opened up a normal website, nothing, just white screen with black text, you're not going to want to read that. That's why if you're making a blog, please add pictures, make colorful, make it fun. Because the whole thing about coding and internet is just having fun. Here I'm working about transforming my text, i.e. creating capitalization, making spaces, because you can code it to where you don't have to individually go into your backbone to change like what letters are capitalized, what are not capitalized. Here you can have every letter of each sentence capitalized in a paragraph or whatever heading you have. In terms of my work, I want to try and make my text stand out and have capitalization. And here you can see me playing with it, as most coders do. Don't ever take into think that it has to be done first try. See here, I'm playing around with this, see what creates what. Because at the end of the day, computer science is still a science, and you have to do tests to get results. So here I am messing around with it for a little bit. Alright, so now I want to play around with something called text shadows, or background to text. You know how in most websites or most games you play, or like you go outside, you look at advertisements, there's text out there that have outlines. So what if I told you that's possible with coding? So simply here, you're going to select what you want to highlight and what you want to change color. You're going to put text shadow. You're going to apply first off, you're going to apply your semicolon and then add you're going to apply your colon and then add your semicolon to separate the subject from the action. And you also have to make sure you put how many pixels. So in my case, I'm putting 2 pixel by 2 pixel by 2 pixel. But I have to make sure I have layers to it. Because if I don't have layers, it's going to look strange, because it's going to have part of it have the outline, but since it's on a 2D plane, you're going to need an X and Y. So in this case, your top line's X, bottom line's Y, and you set them both at the same color. And boom, did you look at that? You add a blue background, and you can make, as you can see, there's a bit of a shadow on each of it. You can do this for anything as well, from the body text, the title, the ending, whatever you want to do to make your website look good. I'm sure you also want to be able to center or create where your text is. All you gotta do is text align, text hyphen align, and then as for everything else, you just place it where your direction is. So here I have everything moved to center. For some reason, since my code is so messy, I also recommend organizing your code. Please organize your code, because throughout this video I struggled to keep my code where I was seeing it. So I was struggling to make my bottom part of my text have the centralization as the rest of my website. So please organize your code and don't be like me. One more thing I'd like to talk about is a callback. We had order lists and unordered lists and stuff like that in our previous video, especially the one with me, because I remember talking about it very much because I don't like lists. So now we're ending the end of the video, so you know what time it is. Challenge time. Yay. Well, for this one, I just want you to be able to create a website or an introduction, like make it a fact. You can talk about your favorite animal, your favorite theme, your favorite anything really. It's just whatever you want. So learn, just mess around with your code, have fun with it, and enjoy it, because it's your code. It's yours. It's one of the few things that I can't say that, but yeah, it's one of the few things you can enjoy and have fun with. But that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please share, like, subscribe, sign up for our website. It would be greatly appreciated and it would do so much help for us. Please recommend this channel to all your friends that seem interested in coding, because here at Tech for Teens, we hope to make the mountain of coding that it seems a lot smaller than it really is. Coding can be fun, but it can also be very frustrating. So if you feel like you're losing passion for it, take a break from it, come back to it. It doesn't have to all be done once, unless of course it's for your school, then please don't procrastinate. But yeah, I've been Georgis, I've been instructor for today, and I hope you all have a great one. Bye bye.